It's how all books end, as if anything could be any more predictable.
Actor Max Greenfield is reading his book to a large crowd at the LA Times Festival of Books at USC. Talk about reading and what that means to you and just the process of people getting to read what you said.
Well, if I'm being honest, I like the audiobooks. I like to listen to other people reading, and I retain that better.
Welcome and good morning.
Many know Greenfield as Schmidt from Fox's New Girl.
Everybody calls me Speedy Johnson.
Or as Doug Johnson on CBS's The Neighborhood. His new role, author of the playfully titled children's book, I Don't Want to Read This Book.
Hopefully get some of those kids who are reluctant readers to jump on board.
His book, selling out here.
I'm just thrilled that the book is being received, and it's one of my favorite things to talk about.
There are 550 authors on hand from all different fields.
Have you written other children's books?
This is the first one.
Greenfield, stationed next to the legendary political journalist Carl Bernstein.
It's a wonderful, festive occasion.
In the 1970s, Bernstein and his partner Bob Woodward broke the Watergate story.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
That led to the resignation of then-President Richard Nixon and Dustin Hoffman playing Bernstein in the film All the President's Men.
You've been threatened if you tell the truth.
Now Bernstein has written about it all in his new memoir, Chasing History, A Kid in the Newsroom. What's the most important lesson about journalism somebody like I can learn from your book?
Be a good listener. And I say this not to be critical, but I hope you talk to a lot of other people here, because it's not just putting a microphone in front of somebody. It really is about trying to find out what's going on here.
Following his advice, we speak to some of the 150,000 book lovers in attendance.
I love reading. I love books.
We're both book nerds, so this is like heaven to us right now.
Most people call themselves, addressed as bookworms. I prefer the term book beast.
It's the biggest book fair in North America.
Boris Kachka is the book's editor for the LA Times. He says due to the pandemic, this is their first physical gathering since 2019. And virtual isn't the same.
People think of books as these solitary things that you read and you write by yourself, but that's not what literature is. That's not what books are. Books are about connecting with each other, and that includes in physical space.
I erase to find and to elevate.
Amanda Gorman, who famously read her poetry at the Biden inauguration, draws one of the biggest crowds here.
Oh, thank you.
So does Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff. His book, Midnight in Washington, earns the top prize here for current interest.
It was a total shock.
Schiff's book takes readers behind the scenes of then-President Donald Trump's first impeachment.
And you know that what he did was not right.
Over the last several years, my colleagues would stop me on the House floor and say, tell me you're writing this down, you better be writing this down. And I would always say, when do I possibly have time to write this down? And then the pandemic hit, and that gave me time to be at home and compose my thoughts.
Did it feel different than any other vote?
Schiff watched old TV interviews to jog his memory since he hadn't kept a journal.
Including a number with you. That was the fun part, watching some of the other interviews, more torture.
Schiff says now he wants to write even more.
I've always enjoyed writing. Years ago, I wrote a number of screenplays. I'm a lawyer in LA, that's what we do. In fact, the former president, one of his attacks on me is he described me as a failed screenwriter. And I remember seeing that and thinking, he doesn't realize that in my LA district, half my constituents are failed screenwriters. That's a compliment. But I would like to write again, although I think what I'll write is a work of fiction. I think I'll write a spy novel next.
Eric Dickerson never expected he'd be an author.
At running back, number 29, Eric Dickerson.
Dickerson is an LA Rams legend and NFL Hall of Famer.
Of all the things you've done in your life, and you've done a lot and accomplished a lot, where does author sort of rank into everything?
Author's pretty high, I gotta say.
Watch My Smoke takes on tough issues like racism, head injuries, and the ugly aspects of the football business.
The truth sometimes is not pretty.
As a player, Dickerson left it all out on the field and says he did the same as an author.
This will be the last book I'll do, I'll tell you that. I won't be doing another one.
Why is that?
No, I mean, I'm good. I mean, I'm glad I got a chance to do this book because, and I said it on stage, that I don't know if I'll be able to remember all this stuff later in my life because, because of the head injuries that I've occurred, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I remember it now.
I'm sorry,
They didn't make enough for everybody.
Actor Danny Trejo is on the cooking stage, making recipes from his cookbook, Trejo's Tacos.
What's the secret for the Danny Trejo's cooking strategy?
Patience. Just keep doing it. It's like you can get great at anything as long as you practice.
In Trejo, My Life of Crime, Redemption, and Hollywood, Trejo writes about his early life as a drug addict and robber, finding God in prison, and dedicating his life to service.
Everything good that's happened to me has happened as a direct result of helping someone else. That's how I got into the restaurant business.
His book signing, drawing the longest line here.
It's just such a blessing. I mean, it's like every morning, it's like just, hey, dear Heavenly Father, let me sign every autograph, let me take every picture. Because it's such a blessing just to be able to make somebody's day with a how are you, a picture. The only thing I is when I'm running through an airport. I have missed planes.
Also here, Ziggy and Orly Marley. Ziggy says he used to steal books from his famous father, Bob, as a kid.
Electronics don't replace books. Like books, there's not like a book. Not like a book. There's no phone, no iPad, there's nothing like a book. Pass it down through generations.
Ziggy and Orly's new children's book is called Little John Crow.
The message is to accept everyone for who they are and love them as they come and be proud of who you are and what you bring to the world all the time.
Ziggy says writing for kids is especially fulfilling.
I feel like the children are the ones who is going to make the changes in this world that's going to make the world a better place. I feel like we have to speak to children. That's where the hope is for humanity.
It is exciting to see so many young readers here falling in love with books. Perhaps Cooper Oberbeck says it best.
Sometimes when books don't have pictures, you can create the picture in your head.
We love her. Our thanks to photographer Rudy Leiva and editor Luc Nixon for really going above and beyond on that story.